Right. Hello and welcome to another episode at the Sovereign Lounge here with fresh energy for 2026. It's the first episode and also the first week of 2026. And this episode is going to be special because I have a very special guest here tuning in from Florida, as I understand. And yeah, so I'm going to introduce you to a guy who has been working very hard on a very special program that I want to show you. And yeah, so let me introduce you, Joey Langenbrunner. He has many titles here as well. He was also the architect of the Special Investor Resident Visa in the Philippines, ambassador of Free State of Liberland, and also a fellow investment migration practitioner. Uh, we have met in Florida in 2024 at the IMI event. We shared some nice cigars and exchanged some wonderful conversations. And yeah, but today we're going to talk about a very special program. And I think, yeah, Joy, talk about something that people in the sovereign space usually often have a problem. And I think that's regarding the taxes and tax residency. And I want you to explain a little bit about a solution that you have brought up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, first of all, thank you so much for such one of the warmest intros I've ever had on a podcast.
I'm glad it does
And
it.
I know it was great to meet you back in 2024, and I hope that we can see each other sometime this year. But again, thank you so much for the very warm intro. So, as you said, my name is Joey Langenbrunner. I've been in this industry for quite a while. And since now it's 2026, I always have to say last year now. So back in 2025, uh, I essentially created a brand new program, something that no one has ever done before. But before I kind of tell you what that program is, I want to tell you about the problem. And the problem is that if you are a digital nomad, so as I, who is American, if I'm a digital nomad, okay, my tax residency is always in the US, okay? But if you're a Canadian, Swedish, Australian, any other nationality outside of the US, you actually have the privilege and the freedom to change what your tax residency is. So, what is a tax residency? A tax residency is basically where do you pay taxes? So if you're Canadian and you live in Canada, you obviously pay taxes to Canada. But if you properly leave the tax net of Canada and obviously talk to a tax accountant in Canada to legally and properly do that, and you are now nomading around the world, so you're in Bali a few months, you're in Tulum, you're in Lisbon, you're in Miami, you're uh, in Hong Kong, wherever you are, well, there's this big question of where do you pay tax now? And unfortunately, a lot of like digital nomads end up not paying tax anywhere, or worse, they pay taxes to their home country. Which in Canada or Denmark or Australia, those are very high tax rates. So what do you do to make sure that you're paying tax somewhere and not paying the high tax to your home country when you're not even living there anymore? So you can properly be have a legal status in this world and also get much better and legal access to bank accounts. So that's the problem, and here is how essentially how I solved it. What I came up with is essentially the first remote tax residency program. All right. So what does that mean? That means that I can be sitting in my villa in Bali, all right, and I can realize like, hey, I just left Australia. I don't live there anymore. It's a brand new tax year of 2026, okay? And I don't want to pay taxes to Australia. I left, man. Like I canceled my gym membership. I don't have a girlfriend there. I don't have a house there. I have nothing left in Australia. I have my family, but I left. I properly left that tax then. I'm chilling in Bali now, and next month I'm gonna go to like Ho Chi Minh City, And after that, I'm gonna go to South Korea, all these things, but where do I pay taxes? How do I have a tax net? So I can be sitting in my Bali, or so like be sitting in my villa in Bali and order a tax residency. Okay. So the way that I essentially created this, and sorry for like such like a long-winded answer, but just to set this up, because not a lot of people like to talk about taxes, and it could be hard to understand. So um, we'll have a time for questions after this. But essentially, if you want to pay taxes remotely, I created the first remote tax residency program where you could essentially pay $5,000 in a lump sum tax, which is much better than the new headline rate in Italy. That's 300,000 euros. This is only $5,000 in tax, okay? And what do you get for that $5,000 tax? Because we wouldn't actually give you something back, okay? We give you proof of address. We give you a tax-free company, okay? We get you a bank account with that. We get you liability insurance in this jurisdiction that we're dealing with that I'll talk about in a second here. Um, and then of course you get a tax residency certificate that is signed and stamped by the Honduran government. Okay. So Joey, how do we do this? How do we get a tax residency certificate from the government of Honduras remotely? Like, excuse me. So basically, some of your listeners might have heard of Prospera. So Prospera is a
Mhm.
special economic zone on the island of Roatan, which is off the mainland of Honduras. Okay. So this special economic zone has certain sovereign powers. Okay. We're here at the Sovereign Lounge. Okay. So we love to talk about sovereignty. So this special economic zone has certain sovereignty, and one of its sovereignties, that I realized and I noticed in the tax code is that it actually has the power, okay, it has a sovereignty power to tax its residents at whatever rate they want. So essentially, what I propose to Prospera, actually uh, almost a year ago at this point, about maybe 10 months ago, I proposed to Prospera about this new lump sum tax for digital nomads. Okay. And it was good news that they accepted and passed the law. I got a contract to really have the privilege to promote this new uh, tax law. And so you'll get the tax residency certificate from Prospera, but it will be signed and stamped from the Honduran government. And so it'll essentially be legally a Honduran tax residency certificate. So I
Right.
can continue to go on, but I'm going to stop here to see if you have any questions. I don't want to, talk for too long here.
No
I got a
worries.
few more things to say, but I'm going to stop here to see if you have any questions.
Mhm. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much for also your introduction points here regarding what you have been working for. And I really love the idea because, as you mentioned, when it comes to lump sum taxation, there is only really, I mean, there's certain programs in Europe, but it's at a very high cost. I mean, Switzerland, for example, has one, and Italy has one for now up to 300,000 euros per year. But 5,000 US dollars in comparison sounds a lot more affordable. So essentially, as I understand this, you have democratized a certain privilege that was only there for high net worth individuals, and you made some sort of a contract with the government to use this special economic zone in Honduras on the island of Roatan. I'm going to show our viewers quickly where this is located because most of the people they will be like, okay, well, where is this actually? So let me quickly see. Right, so here's Google Maps. And well, here's Honduras. I hope you can see it here. So it's here in the Caribbean. And then there is a small island. If you zoom in here, there is a Roatan. And yeah, so with basically, so is this entire island, is this Prospera, or is it just one city within the island, or how does this work actually?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So it's a small section of the island. And eventually they'll grow over time, but it's essentially a few properties that they own. They actually bought a resort called like Pristine Bay. And then if you type in on like Duna Tower in Roatan, you'll see kind of like the original establishment there. They're doing events there all the time. Vitalik from Ethereum was just there. They got a huge investment from Coinbase last year. So yeah, if you go a little bit more to the right,
Ah,
yeah,
Pristine
if you
Bay.
find
Yeah, there's
Pristine Bay,
like, yeah, here
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah. So they
yeah,
got a full golf course there and stuff like that.
yeah,
So another thing about the program that I need to mention is that once you get accepted into the program, you actually have 12 months to come to the zone and hang out for 7 days. Okay. So we wanted to add some sort of like, I don't want to say stay requirements, because I know people in our industry hate that term, but it's only 7 days. So come for a week, come hang out. There's a lot of like longevity and crypto people who are there, a lot of people who have like the same mindset, a lot of VIP people there. Some of the best snorkeling in the world's there. And you got 12 months just to come for 7 days. So it's super easy requirements, but you can get everything done remotely. And another requirement that I want to put a lot of emphasis on, because you're talking about the lump sum tax in Switzerland
mm,
and Italy, with those programs, you have the privilege to live in those countries. Okay. With this new lump sum tax in Prospera through my company, NomadLayer, um, you can't be a resident in any other country. All right. So like that's like the trade-off, right? So
yeah,
if you want to live
yeah,
in Italy and do the lump sum tax, you pay 300,000. But if you want to do this program, you cannot be a resident anywhere else. So you have to stay a perpetual traveler.
yeah.
That is kind of a trade-off, but it's also kind of one of the most freeing programs out there. So, as I said before, I want you to really like visualize this. So if you are a digital nomad and you do this program, okay, you come hang out in Honduras for 7 days, but you can go to Mexico City for 2 months. All right, you can go to Miami for a month. You can go to Lisbon for a few weeks. Then you can go to Bali. Then you can go to Dubai. You are truly a perpetual traveler. So you don't have any crazy stay requirements anywhere else. It's like, hey, once you get accepted in this program, you have 12 months to come hang out with us for 7 days, ridiculously easy. And it's an
It's yeah.
amazing and beautiful place to go. So,
Yeah, I
so
see
again,
the
like,
yeah.
yeah,
So here the weather is much nicer than here because we have like a really cold time here in Switzerland.
right.
It's like minus 10 degrees Celsius. It's really cold.
Oh
So
my goodness.
look really nice to go on holiday here for a couple of days and well to pay this sort of amount of taxes. So we are talking about a sum that is affordable for almost any, even like the lower income digital nomads. I mean, if your tax rate, let's assume your tax rate is about 20%. So 20% with 5,000 US dollars, if I do the math correctly. So if you earn about 30,000 US dollars, it already is trading off. So when it comes to the tax rate, everything above is basically you win at the end of the day for most high income taxes countries. But again, as you said, you need to be a perpetual traveler. Um, you don't have you cannot spend 183 days in any other country and then just claim to pay this amount of taxes. And I believe it's also very important in this sort of time because many governments they want transparency, they want official tax certificates, they want residency requirements. If you look at the broader industry, they're scrutinizing the Caribbean islands, for example, even for citizenship, that they don't have residency requirements. And so I think this is a really, really solid program that also looks into the future, not just like a quick like money making scheme, for the government. It's a legit program, it's a service for and the use case for digital nomad people. And yeah, so that's where it comes from. And also, as I understand, it has direct flights to the US, so you can come in very quickly. And yeah, probably the best use case is if you are in the vicinity of Latin America, you can well, you can just hop by and take this advantage, right? So I remember you talked about something that you have not mentioned here, and I think that's it's very important about like a certain the residency requirement, quote unquote, the 7 days. I think there's an incentive also for that, right?
Yeah, so I know what you're referring to, and I won't discuss it that right now on this podcast because things are changing.
Okay.
Um,
Understand.
but but anyways, really when it comes to what we built here, it's essentially the first like tax residency as a service program.
Yeah.
We want to basically create as a service in this industry. If it's like residencies or like citizenship, like it's something that like I've tried to work on in the past.
Mm.
So this time I was able to create like the first like tax residency as a service program through my company of NomadLayer, which is actually registered in Prospera in the zone. And let me kind of tell you why this program is more competitive than another program that people use like for tax residency. So what was kind of like the default thing to do as a digital nomad is that people would fly all the way down to Paraguay, which is a long flight, and they'll wait in lines and they'll get their Paraguay tax residency. And you can get that for somewhere between like 25 or $3,500 depending on what lawyer you use and what program you use. And then you can usually get it done within 3 to 5 days, and then you get your Paraguay residency card. And then if you want the RUC, which is basically your tax residency certificate for Paraguay, then you fly down, what I think like a month or two later to get that tax residency certificate, and you go through all this trouble to pay little to like no tax, which if you put all that cost together, it's probably around $5,000. So when I thought about that, I was like, well, instead of paying all these things in fees, like government fees, consulting fees, lawyer fees, travel fees, food fees, time fees, all that. Why don't you translate that cost into essentially a tax, right? That you can just do remotely from your villa in Bali, right? So then you could show to your home country and say, hey, I actually paid tax. I actually paid something. Instead of Paraguay is like, oh, well, I'm trying to pay 0% tax. The time of like, let's say like tax havens is slowly, slowly going away. Unfortunately. I mean, of course we all don't want to pay tax, right?
Yeah.
Like the time for like 0% tax in the UAE in Dubai is slowly slipping away, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And then
also
or else,
yeah, it's not guaranteed that the requirements stay the same for Paraguay or also for even say Panama, which also has a very solid program itself.
right.
But yeah, it's you do all of this job just to get tax free, and then maybe in I don't know maybe 1 or 2 years. They changed the law overnight, which they did in 2022, by the way. They literally
Right.
changed it overnight. I talked about this in my other guest episode with my guy Charles, who is living in Paraguay full time, and that can be done for the tax residency as well. So yeah, you have a very solid program that is forward thinking, like in the future proof. So you have something, you have a tax residency, you actually pay taxes, you actually visit the country. It's not just a quote unquote paper tax
Exactly.
residency that has no substance or anything like this. And it's also a very fair one. It's for all these digital nomads. Because in this day and age, you cannot just say, "Oh, I don't have tax residency anyway. I don't pay any tax." That's not gonna work. I keep telling our subscribers and viewers, that's just not gonna be it. Maybe you can pull it off for 1 year, but it will bite you back, and then you're getting lots of trouble, and that's not what we want. So yeah, congrats
Yeah.
on that.
And I'll put Yeah, no, thank you. And I want to put a lot of emphasis on the fact, when you're talking about like substance, okay? So when it comes to tax residency, substance really matters. So just having a Paraguay residency and just having a Paraguay like tax certificate could work now and could work in a lot of cases. I mean, it's been a very successful program and the best program like for digital nomads for like the longest time. I don't necessarily want to hate on that program. It's been amazing for a lot of my friends and has really helped legalize their status, right? But the world is changing. So not only do you have that 7 days that you go there, not only do you actually pay tax, which is important, all right, but we're going to give you proof of address. We're going to give you a business that you can actually do business with. We're going to get you a bank account. We're going to get you liability insurance. So, like God forbid you get into an accident while you're there in the zone while you're visiting, you will be covered, right? So these are all the things that not just your home country is looking for, but banks, when you try to open a bank account
Yeah.
overseas, this is also what they ask because a lot of times these banks will ask is like, hey, where's your current residency? Right? What they're really asking is where are you paying tax, right?
Yeah.
And these banks know all these schemes. So if you say Paraguay, some banks might accept you, then some banks might not. It's the same thing, like with like these Caribbean, passports. Like if I have like a Saint Kitts and Nevis passport and I try to open up a bank account in Switzerland, I may or may not have some issues. Like it's not guaranteed. Okay. With this program, you have that substance there. It's more than just getting the tax residency certificate. You have all these list of things that you're getting to prove not just your legal status, but you have a lot of ties to Prospera, to Honduras to prove not just to Canada, Australia, Sweden, but to the bank as well. And it's all done remotely, man. I mean, like this program, like this is like the first remote tax residency program designed for the modern nomad.
Absolutely. That's how I see it as well. So yeah, we have now talked a lot about this nice program, and I really think it's future proof. It's going to change a lot of lives, especially for all the digital the nomads out there who just want to abide by the law, want to do something properly, but also very convenient, from literally from your home, you can do this. So I'm gonna give show you the website now for from you. Let me quickly see that. No, there you go. So your website is called NomadLayer, right? So
Correct. Yeah.
correct, yeah. So you can, yeah, it's very straightforward. You can go there, claim your tax residency. There's all the information that you need when it comes to applying. You can join. Uh, yeah, it's explained there, and also yeah, like everything, why it matters. Everything we have talked about in this episode. Um, if you join and watch from this Sovereign Lounge, then just mention that you came here from the episode. That would be greatly appreciated. So then you can, um, yeah, you can go register yourself there. And yeah, thank you very much, Joy. Do you have anything else here to add that you would like to talk about this program a bit more, or anything else that came up to your mind?
No, I think we covered most things. I'm sure you'll get comments asking, for more questions, you know, and we'll see. With this program being new, we're always trying to make it better. I'm sure some of your listeners are listening to this and say, "Oh no, they didn't talk about this, or they didn't think about this." Like, is this legal? Is this even legit? Or why don't they do this? Or whatever. Uh, the wonderful thing also about this program is that we are able to adapt and change for the better because a lot of these programs change for the worst, as we know. We want to be one of the only programs that change for the better. So if you have any critique, any ideas of how like NomadLayer and Prospera could improve this program, let us know as well. We're totally open, to that because this is a new program, and so, but it's legal, it's legit, and and really just I'm excited what 2026 is going to bring. I know in the geopolitical world it's absolutely insane, but that doesn't change the way that us as digital nomads we travel. You know, we could care less about that. And if there's a just a easy program that we can just do remotely to like legalize our status, so all of our home countries don't bother us. I mean, obviously for Americans, you have your own situation, and I'm gonna try to fix that as well with maybe a new program coming out later. But for now, I'm really just focusing on NomadLayer, the first remote tax residency designed for the modern nomad.
Thank you very much, Joey. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and make sure to stay tuned on the Sovereign Lounge.
All right, thank you.